They are. They are all provided in the same kit. Finding it, though, was a little bit of a bear. Pun. So, we just went ahead and 3D printed it, because I happened to have a 3D print available. Because a lovely viewer commissioned me to print it for him and send it to him. And that meant I got to keep the STL. But yeah, the veteran dealie works really well because it is a multi-part kit that you can make either 2 characters out of or a standard dreadnought. And I think that's super neat. Okay, this is not going down. Oh, no, that's why I was going to try and block it in and then hit it again with a transitional color. So we're going to see how this looks. This might look great. This might look terrible. We'll find out in a minute. But yeah, so I believe, Red, that was you. And based on your response, that sounds correct. Yeah, so thank you again for basically gifting me that STL so that I could continue using it. And giving me a chance to reutilize that for a friend, a Space Wolf who wanted to have a cool dreadnought. Much appreciated. Okay, so we're going into the ugly phase of my painting, which I just tend to call the painting. I'm still kind of experimenting with layering, and I'm still not very good at anticipating how layers are going to fall. So all I'm doing right now is blocking in the highlights. And we're going to see how good, bad, or indifferent these look once I get kind of the mid-tone in on them. And we'll all either ooh and ah or groan together, shall we? One thing I do know is that this color might have been just a bit too bright for what I was going for. But that's kind of the fun of this, is just knowing that it's a time for experimentation. Because if I screw it up, I could just paint it all brown and go back over it again. Okay, go ahead and give him that. Go ahead and give him that one. Slob it on right there. Go back over that knee, give it a little more depth to it. Go back over this, give it a little more depth. Yeah, that should be okay. Something I saw, and it was on a Don Serrato's video, I believe, was his use of washes for layering. He'll start with a darker color, then go over it, like block it in, kind of like I am, with the lighter highlight, and then he'll wash it all with a unifying color, and that leaves the highlights in the wash, and they're still visible. They've just kind of combined real nicely and unified, and I really like how that looks, because it still gives some of that sketchiness in there. But at the same time, it also keeps the areas that need to be brighter, and I think that's super cool. So, like I said, we're going to see how this looks. I'm not going to say I'm really confident in my ability to do it yet, because I'm still learning the skill, but at the very least, it's going to be fun to experiment. And if it turns out good, then I've learned a cool new way to do highlights. And if it doesn't, well, then you guys got to see whether or not it would work. At least the way I do it. So I think the next step beyond this, once I get all the highlights blocked in, is to go ahead and start doing the transitions between the highlights and the shadows. One thing I probably should have done with the other one is exactly what I'm doing now, and kind of edge highlighting the important bits on this mini. Hit that right there. Hit that. Put some of that. Okay. Oh man, I'm down to 0 viewers. What's it doing now? I don't get it. I have no idea what's going on. I'm sorry if it's disconnecting you guys. I don't know if it is or not. But I've been, like I said, I've been having all sorts of technical difficulties. So hopefully it didn't just boot everyone from the stream. What's going on here? Well, no, it says I'm still streaming. Go back to Twitch real quick. Let's see what's happening on Twitch. I guess this is my punishment for not going to work today. Nope, it's definitely still going. I don't know. I don't get it. But yeah, it looks like everyone left. That's okay. I'm gonna keep doing my thing. Looks like I've got about 10 minutes left before I have to start getting dinner anyway. So, let's see, what can I do here? Give a little bit more under there. A little bit more under there. Give a little bit more fading right there. Maybe a little bit more right there. Yeah, this looks very sufficiently blocked in. And that's a-okay. Do the same thing here because I am most definitely going to just hit this with a brown wash. And hopefully the two colors will clash well together. Well, looks like I got a viewer back. I have no idea what's going on with the video, guys. I'm really sorry if the stream is being funky. It's not my fault, as far as I can tell. And hopefully things are going to work again. It just keeps randomly disconnecting people. And I don't know why. That again. Make this a little brighter. Make that a little brighter. Make that again. That like that. Same thing, layer it back over, layer it back over. There we go. And we'll hit a little more of his thigh so that we get a slightly darker contrast between top of thigh and the rest of them. And the good news is with that is it also looks like the purple wash all finished drying off. So we're gonna get to see if this looks any good very soon. Let's go, actually no, let's go ahead and lighten up on this. Darken up on this. We're gonna do some edge highlighting around here. Same kind of thing, just give it a little bit of a frame of color so that once it gets hit by the wash, it's still got this nice visible highlight. And we'll see how that goes. Maybe a little bit lighter. Okay, let's go ahead and do that. Do that. Do some of that. Some of that. Hit that. Do I have any more? Yeah, I'll hit the belt straps. Got this. Oh, got that belt strap over there that I didn't even touch. Hit that with the brown. Hit it again with the khaki. Khaki mix. That like so. And there we go. He's all done. Looks perfect, right? No, not at all. This looks terrible. But good news is it's going to look better in a second because it's going to be hit with, hopefully, a brown wash that will kind of blend the bright spots that I just painted in there with the not bright spots. So let's see how this plays out. Okay. And see, already I can see where I've made my mistake, because while it is working, while it is definitely blending all these together, I went way too bright with my highlights. And so what's happening now is that they're still showing through in a really not good way. Like, they're obviously way too bright. They're showing up way too contrasty to everything else. So what I'm probably going to do is, once this dries, is I'll go back over it and actually hit the midtones. And that will do wonders with making this not look like it was color matched. I need to go ahead and actually, what am I doing this for? I need to go ahead and actually paint that metal on there. But the intent was there. I can see where I was going with it. I can just kind of blend things back together. It'll look fine. This one, though, this one is going to stay how it is. I like how this one looks. Just enough messy, horrible bandage to sell. Okay. Now let's go ahead and throw some of that Nuln oil on the skin to give it kind of that corrupted, yucky look to it. Okay. We got our Nuln oil. Put the Nuln oil on everywhere. Because I actually do want to dull this down, and then I will lift it back up with probably a gentle dry brush of the base color, and that might do it. Now, I was watching a Goobertown Hobbies video, and he mentioned how washes, while they do their job, are definitely kind of a detractor in a lot of ways, because they're a lot harder to control where they kind of go and where they kind of fall, and in doing so they make it more difficult to really get to decide where your highlights and where your shadows are going to go. And he talked about how now he's started to individually line the muscles and whatnot on his minis and the shadows, and how that's created a much sharper, more vibrant mini for him. And I agree with a lot of that, to be completely honest. Having tried to do both, while the Nuln oil, while the washes, they all do a great job of making sure that your mini has contrast to them, they definitely do so in a way that's very haphazard. You know what I mean? It's kind of like the difference between using a hacksaw versus using a coping saw. I don't know if anyone's going to get those references. When cutting lumber, they're both going to get the job done, but a hacksaw is going to have a much rougher line to it and a much rougher set of teeth, and it's going to greatly affect the overall look of your cut, and that's not always what you want. Okay, now he looks remarkably gross, which is kind of cool. So we're going to go ahead and let that dry. I've got to go ahead and let the other part dry. I think I'm going to block in the black on his armor, because I'm eventually going to dry brush that with a metallic, which will definitely help make it look really kind of like dirtied metal. Because then I'm going to hit it with some Agrax Earthshade, and that'll look really nice and gross and dirty and rustified and all that fun stuff. Okay. Oh yeah, and on his boots. So I'm just going to go ahead and block in the entirety of the boot in black, with the knowledge that the shin guard on the front is going to get a metallic look to it. Okay, hopefully everything's still working right. There we go. There we go. Okay, now I suppose one could argue that it's always really hard to go darker than black with your shading. And that's fine, because you're correct. So what I'm probably going to do is spend a lot of time heavily highlighting back up to like an oily blue for his boots, instead of keeping them just the flat black, because very clearly that is a look you can go for, but it's a very bland look that gets washed out when you look at the mini, and it makes you classed as legendary now, so can't use them. Oh yeah, the is it the veteran, are we talking about the veteran dreadnoughts? Because I'm really behind. There's been some technical goofs, and so I'm not sure where the chat is anymore. I forgot, I honestly also forgot what I was talking about. I was just kind of rambling incoherently. If I recall right, with the Space Wolves at least. Is Bjorn and Murderfang still usable? So I know, because I saw that like Space Wolves were doing pretty well because they were using the Gladius detachment, which clearly not their own, but they were very heavily character reliant, and one of those was always having like a Bjorn on there, and I don't remember if they took Murderfang, but oh, okay, they're legendary. Well, that sucks. Yeah, I understand why Games Workshop is kind of trying to pare down their lists of minis, but at the same time, it's like you could have given everyone a bit more of a warning, guys, you know? Because they were all perfectly usable in 9th edition, and I guess everyone just kind of found out about this when 10th edition really kind of started. And that's kind of crummy. And I know right now they've got data cards for them, and they're like, yeah, and you can continue using them in your casual games, but they cannot be used in Games Workshop tournament play. And I guess that's fair. I don't know. I would have I suppose I would have classified them as legendary and then allowed them to be usable in tournaments, but just not give them, you know, any stats updates or anything. So their legendary data sheets would be what they got to keep. Well, I guess technically they've been doing that, haven't they? Because they got a bunch of legends units that didn't get any updates in 9th. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know. I feel bad for people who buy into these minis and then can't use them. To be honest, I kind of did that. I got a bunch of Relic Terminator captains and whatnot, and they have very specific loadouts. Like, my Terminator Praetor has the shield and the power sword, but that's no longer a choosable loadout for Terminator captains. And I guess to some extent, Space Marine players whining that they can't play certain models is like, you guys have... am I in the market for some Space Marine scouts? Yes and no. I would love to have some Space Marine scouts. I have absolutely no money in which to compensate someone for the acquisition of Space Marine scouts. I love the new models of them. I think they're really cool. I love the old models of them. I think they're really cool. I don't have any monies. I haven't had any monies since about mid-November, simply because of the holidays really sapping away at my wallet. By the way, hello Atsu, good to see you. I'm in the process of doing a commission because someone offered to give me Cursed City if I did this commission. So, I want to make sure they get these back ASAP. I hate having a debt hang over my head. And so hopefully I can finish these last 2 parts of the commission before the end of the week, and they can be ecstatic that I managed to finish 8 character models. Thank you. Same to you. That I finished 8 character models in 2 weeks in the middle of the holidays. Because I'm definitely trying to get these painted to a better than tabletop standard. Oh, actually, while you're here, I got something to show you. Check this out, Atsu. It's a demon baby. Oh, look at that little demon baby. He's a little blue demon baby. He got wings and he's a demon baby. Yeah, commissions are a great way if you can find people willing to pay for them, because you know, it's a fairly big demon baby. It's a fairly big time sink, and you know, you're never gonna get paid your worth. I tried to, and a combination of the website I was using kind of disallowing people to post that they were doing commissions, and the price. I priced myself out of some really good jobs. Yeah, that's a good healthy demon baby right there. Demon baby. But yeah, that's actually, it's part of a Forge World model. It comes with, I think, I don't remember if it's the Escher Gang boss that I was commissioned to paint, or if it was part of, I think it's the Escher Gang, baby. Or the Escher Gang woman leader, but It's a neat little resin model, and I'm getting increasingly impressed with some of the Forge World models and the resin models that I am seeing. I'm severely worried about the new Fulgrim, because there is no way on God's green earth that you can transport that thing. So, what is it? Fulgrim Transfigured? So I fear for anyone who plays Emperor's Children and decides they want to take the new Demon Fulgrim to a tournament. That thing's basically going to need to be put in like a trash can, flipped upside down with like clasps on it or something, because you really can't transport it any other way. Okay, let's see. Let's get that. Right now, I'm just trying to block this guy in. I'm not going to be online much longer because it's around my dinner time with the wife. So I'm just trying to get as much of the black blocked in as possible before I sign off. I did not realize that this is basically a power sword, but it's made out of rebar and spikes. And I think that's freaking awesome. Okay. Or not rebar, this is an I-beam. Rebar is a considerably flimsier metal. Yeah, this is just a really cool piece of chaos weaponry. An accursed weapon, as they call it. And that is kind of one thing about Horus Heresy that I think I could really vibe with, even if I don't want to play the game itself, but just the fact that they went super granular with the loadouts, because that's one of my favorite things about 40k, is list building. And I know for current 40k, list building has been drastically simplified to make the game more approachable. And I greatly appreciate it, because that was a huge barrier of entry for me and other people, was trying to figure out how to build the frickin' lists. So making it easier, definitely a good thing. But at the same time, one of my favorite things to do is to list build and to theory craft. And there's a lot less customizability now because of it. So hopefully, I hate to say this because it's like this edition just came out, but hopefully for 11th edition, they find a way to balance having different loadouts and it all costing the same. Because I know, like with some models, like with the Hellblasters, there's no freaking reason to take, you know, a bolt pistol on your sergeant when the plasma pistol costs exactly the same. You know, unless you're playing entirely for flavor. So I don't know. Hopefully, Games Workshop will figure it out. But in the meantime, I'm gonna sit here with my demon baby. Okay. So now that that is blocked in, I can have a little bit of fun with it later by dry brushing the heck out of it with some red to give it kind of that red I-beam look, and then I can hit it again with some metal to give it that rusted, corroded I-beam look. Now, I think what I want to do, especially now that it's starting to dry out, is I think I want to find the mid-tone for this like khaki that I've created, this muddy khaki crap, and see if I can water it down enough to just spread it across and kind of even out this highlighted mess. So I'm going to try and do that. I'm going to make kind of a weird warmish gray and then water it down a whole lot to like a glaze consistency and run it across this entire guy, because he is supposed to be wearing khaki pants, and I just went a little too hard with the highlights. So we're gonna go ahead and use this like a washy glaze and see if I can get more of a slightly dried out khaki look. Now, if I recall right, I learned this from watching Jose Da Vinci, I want to say, work on doing skin, because he went through with a fairly dark base color for the skin, a fairly dark base coat, and then he glazed on a much lighter coat, and all that really did was unify them, kind of like how a wash does. And so I'll let all this dry, and we'll see how that turns out. Because already, it's making the colors kind of blend better, which was my intention. Let's see if this is effective enough to really cover up the severe gap between the highlights and the shadows. If anything, it's probably going to model it, which will actually look pretty good. Either way. Oh no, I should probably go ahead and do his tusks. So I'm going to assume the tusks are... don't think GW has a clue with anything. People collecting new models and rolls for 10th, and GW will say, okay, let's bring out 11th, and let's bring out new models. Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. Their whole business model is built on... I looked at their business report today, just for funsies, which is increasingly pathetic now that I say it out loud. But something they mentioned was that they plan on continuing this business strategy forever. And not necessarily a good or bad thing, but like they plan on introducing, like, cycling out sculpts and introducing sculpts and revamping the rules and this, that, and the other in perpetuity. And it's like, yeah, sure, I guess, but, you know, I suppose if they do it at a slow enough clip, then the people who are playing it casually aren't really going to notice or aren't going to care. And while that might alienate some players who are frustrated that their armies are no longer validable. I don't know personally, because I don't have any numbers in front of me, just how many people would actually quit the game over that, you know? I'm not saying that we would all just be, I don't know what to call it, pay pigs, people who are just willing to buy whatever they put out. But at the same time, if they want it to be sustainable, they can't just have people you know, sitting on their hands and the armies they collected back 15 years ago and never buying anything new. So while that actually did do quite a bit into making the, or into unifying up that paint color on the pant legs. So hopefully they managed to figure it out, and hopefully they come up with a decision that's better than just, you know, collect thing, in a couple years thing useless. Hopefully they find a happy medium between that and where they're going. Because, like, you can't really argue that the Guard didn't get a whole lot of use out of their models. It took a long time for the Guard to get replaced. And the Eldar were another one, right? There were some Eldar models that were older than some factions. So, I guess it's a question that I don't have an answer for. I don't know. They can't focus on everything at once, so I guess they gotta pick their battles. And I really like how these pants turned out. I'm pretty jazzed with how these pants look. Especially considering that was all a gambit. They're pushing people to 3D printing? Yeah, to some extent. Until 3D printing becomes far less of a time sink, though, I don't think it's going to replace Games Workshop anytime soon. Though they are definitely making more and more inroads as the years progress. So eventually Games Workshop is going to have to change their own tack, right? But I will say one of the things that makes 3D prints, or that makes Games Workshop survivable, is that there are a lot of 3D prints artists out there that don't understand that things have to be, like, what's the word I want to go for? Usable at game size. Because, like, I was actually talking about this on social media with a bunch of other people, that 3D Art Guy, for example, he does beautiful sculpts. He did the Fulgrim I worked on a while ago. But if you notice, that Fulgrim is so replete with detail that he's basically impossible to paint at the scale that we play at, 32 millimeter or 28 millimeter or whatever it is. So, while his prints are nice, they're little more than glorified statues. Thankfully, that's not a consistent problem across printing. It's just big enough right now that it's definitely something that needs to be addressed. by artists putting their work out there before it starts becoming a viable replacement for Games Workshop, alongside, you know, the costs of having a printer and the space you need, and the fact that 3D printing is a hobby in and of itself. What I kind of hope happens is that there's some kind of understanding made between Games Workshop and the 3D printing community, and they start releasing things as STLs. And I don't know, maybe they even start producing a resin, or partnering with a company that produces a really good resin that's proprietary to Games Workshop or something. I'm spitballing here. I have no clue, and I hope Games Workshop isn't listening to me, because I am not the best business manager in the world. Who knows? Who knows? I just in some ways feel that of all of the, you know, quote-unquote evil companies out there, Games Workshop is really low on that totem pole. There are so many other companies that are doing bad things that they're not really registering. Okay, so with a very, very brief paint job, it took me under about an hour to get here. Under about an hour. It took me around an hour to get here. This guy is already looking fantastic, and he's going to have a lot more work done to him before I can put him down and say he's complete. I'm really digging the look on him already. That's pretty cool. Okay. Let's make him look jaundiced and stuff. Well, not jaundiced. Let's make him look terrible. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get his eyes done, which is always a great move. Let's see. We're going to go with this yucky yellow. And we're going to get in there with that yucky little yellow. There's a yellow. Oh my goodness. Okay, Games Workshop, can you just make everything at like Ogren sized? Because I've never been able to hit an eye that cleanly before. And the only reason I can now is because y'all have made the Ogrens beefy. Time to get his little eyes. Okay, let's go ahead and hit that. Hit that with the littlest dot. There's a little pinpoint of an eye. There's a little pinpoint of an eye. That means I should make this one bigger and ruin everything. Nope, there they are. Two very pissed off looking eyes. Aces and places. Hopefully that looks better on camera than it does here. Okay. That being said, it's 6:15. I need to go back upstairs and eat dinner. Given that like I said earlier, I violently expelled my breakfast, and all I had for lunch was like a peanut butter and jelly wrap, I probably should put something in my stomach, which unfortunately is going to have to be soup, but I suppose it's better than nothing. Thank you guys for joining me. I'm sorry that there were so many technical difficulties. Hopefully I'll be able to stream tomorrow, and if I am, there will be far less technical difficulties. I'm going to try and finish up this Ogren by Wednesday, and then, or by tomorrow afternoon, and finish up the last lady and the bases before Friday, so that way I can drop them back off at the client's house. And if that happens, then I am just going to be beside myself with joy, because I have absolved myself of debt, and I no longer need to worry about making sure that they are properly compensated for the lovely, lovely board game they've given me. And then I've got a Death Guard Combat Patrol to repaint, because I'm insane and I don't understand how to stop doing things. Anyway, have a good evening. I will talk to you later. Maybe see you tomorrow. Who knows? But have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.